Hey guys, what's going on? I just want to do a quick kind of correction video and I'll let you know what I mean by that. So the last video I made talking about Hank Aaron, I did say cerebral palsy and I meant to say Bell's palsy. And thank you for the person in the comments that brought that up. I can't believe I let that slide, but I want to comment on that, and I don't think that I'm entirely wrong though. I meant to say that's what I meant to say, but speaking of cerebral palsy, I don't think I'm wrong, and this is why. So anyway, if you look at Bell's palsy, first of all, palsy means paralysis of the muscles. So Bell's palsy is like paralysis of the facial muscles. So if you Google or look up Bell's palsy, you'll see people that look like they have drooping faces, or one side of their face is like twitched out or something like that. Cerebral palsy is like you have paralysis of the muscles or have trouble coordinating the muscles all over their body due to brain damage. And cerebral palsy can happen either when the baby is developing or after it's developing. So like if a baby gets like blood poisoning or malaria, like in third world countries, they've logged these other diseases as cause for cerebral palsy. Now, if somebody, you can get a disease from a vaccine, you can actually even get the very disease that you were vaccinated for from the vaccine. So, for instance, if you get a meningitis vaccine and you get meningitis from the meningitis vaccine, and then you get blood poisoning, which causes your cerebral palsy, you can technically say that the vaccine gave you cerebral palsy. You also look in the manufacturer's insert, and it shows that it doesn't test for the ability to cause cancer, carcinogenesis, the ability to mutate your genes, mutagenesis, or the ability to impair fertility. So all of these things, they don't test for, therefore the manufacturer doesn't test for, and the main medical mafia is so invested in the concept of vaccines that they're not going to willingly look into any research that shows that vaccines can cause these diseases. Now, I think it's easier to get away with saying that Bell's palsy is caused by the vaccine, because usually this happens to adults and they were normal, and there's documentation and years of documentation through pictures, through videos, through their lifetime activities of them being quote unquote normal before they got the vaccine. And this is the reason why I believe that if you look at the vaccine court cases, most people win for the flu shot, because a lot of people become injured from the flu shot after they are developed very well. And in the case of babies, it's easier to psych people out and say, oh, well, they were born that way, or oh, like this is, you're making it up or whatever, because they don't really have a lot of documentation, or they don't video, or to say. So, and a lot of times they can guilt the parents into just being like, oh, that's just what happens. I don't believe any baby that is brain damaged or damaged, just got that way. There was something that happened. There was a cause and effect, whether it was a sonogram, whether it was an injury, whether it was an infection that the mother got when they were sick. They could get cerebral palsy because they got a vaccine. The mother got a vaccine while she was sick with the baby. Maybe, when she was pregnant with the baby. So, you just kind of have to connect the dots. I do have a friend that has cerebral palsy, and I reached out to her and I asked her if she had any documentation, and she told me that she knows of somebody that actually got a vaccine court award, which that's a whole nother video. That's a really hard to win, but they got cerebral palsy, and I guess they got awarded through the vaccine court. So she's looking for that for me now, and if I find that, I will make another video and talk about that. And I reached out to a couple of other people. One of the things I just realized too, there was an amazing site called MedScience Research that was actually categorizing and cataloging all of the diseases vaccines has caused, because there are independent researchers and scientists and other people outside of the medical media mafia that do their own research. If you also look up the vaccine industries, the huge conflict of interest is the vaccine industries actually do their own research on vaccines. So really, so we're gonna trust them, right? And if you read them, it's funny because they'll be like, oh, well, this vaccine does cause harm, but we still recommend that you take the vaccine. It's like they double speak throughout the whole flipping article. So it's a lot of them do that too, which is really weird. But that website I was talking about, it was just taken down recently because I don't know if you're watching. I saw whoever made the comment on the last episode of Vaccine Sex Saturdays. I did a lecture with Suzanne Humphreys, or I posted a lecture with Suzanne Humphreys, and somebody commented that she thinks her sister got a rare form of ovarian cancer from the vaccine. Maybe it was a vaccine, maybe it was other things. I can't say for sure. I'm not a doctor, but trust me, I'm not a doctor. But I can say that there has been studies, and there definitely is research linking cancer to vaccines. And you also want to note that there's a huge, as the vaccine schedule has increased, as the babies that are given the vaccines at an earlier age has increased, so have their childhood rates of cancer. So probably, I mean, that it's not like, and I don't want to just be like, oh, just vaccines only cause cancer, or that cancer is only caused just by vaccines. That's one of the many things. I mean, just, all the cosmetics that people wear. Even if you're wearing a cosmetics, this is one thing that I've learned, being very chemically sensitive to a lot of stuff. Like my makeup is natural. I have to use like natural makeup, or I'll like break out, or I'll like, but there's so many toxins in makeups, in lotions, in perfumes, in hair products, and they're all carcinogenic as well. Maybe it was what she was eating. Maybe it was the area that she was living in. I don't know. It could have been all of the above. I can't say. But I think it is important for people to know these things, because if they get a diagnosis with any illness, they can kind of troubleshoot and see what maybe has caused that illness. So, if you can do that, then you can probably cure yourself, right? Because if you're constantly putting chemicals in your body that's making you sick, then if you stop and reverse that and detox from that, then you can become better. I mean, it's really just that simple, but it's kind of hard too, because sometimes you have to do process of elimination and figure out what is what and what's in what and how much you do what, and it's a process that you would have to take yourself. And I mean, eventually, I'm working on getting my certification as a health coach. This is one thing I want to do, is I want to teach people to empower themselves. I want to build an army of people that are healers and teachers. So most of this stuff people should know. And I'm a lay person, and people are always just like, oh, you're not a doctor, I'm not a scientist. Yeah, thank God, trust me, because they don't know shit. Well, okay, some of you guys that are doctors and scientists that watch this, you know your shit, but you know what I'm talking about. You have colleagues that just follow orders. They don't use critical thinking, and because of that, they end up actually making the situations for their patients worse. So this is information. So just getting back to the cerebral palsy, Bell's palsy thing. Yes, I meant to say that, but at the same time, I don't recant my statement, because vaccines I do believe can cause Bell's palsy, because it's brain damage. So any vaccines cause brain damage. So another thing too is like the establishment, they what am I going to say? They can change diagnoses, or the diagnostic criteria for diseases on a whim. This is, I mean, I'm not going to get into it too much now, but that's what they did with polio. That's what they did with the Roro right now. So they're doing that a lot. They do that a lot to cover up too. That's another way that they cover up their mistakes, is they change the diagnostic criteria, or they change the name of the disease, or they just deny it, and they change the causes of what causes that disease. So if people don't know that, and they're just blindly trusting doctors, then they're so susceptible to being misinformed and misled and brainwashed. So with that in mind, vaccines cause brain damage, probably can cause cerebral palsy. You'd have to put those links together, but just think about this too. There's no way that you can find out how a vaccine can damage you, and the damage that people get from these vaccines are way, way worse than the disease itself. So is it worth it? That's really what you have to ask yourself. Is it worth it for you? Is it worth it for your child? You know, all these people that are like, oh, I have to have a job, or I won't get a vaccine. So what if you get a vaccine, or I have to get a vaccine because I have to keep my job. So what if you get a vaccine and then you're paralyzed and you can't work? You can't get to SSRI. What happens to you? What happens? Is that worth it? You know? So, I mean, you really have to start, these are the questions, you guys, you're going to have to start asking yourself, answering yourself, thinking about, is my health and my being? Because, you know, politics aside, all this, you know, all these people getting exposed, if you don't have your health, you don't have your sanity, you can't fight back at all. You're definitely a slave. So with that in mind, yeah, think about that, and I will talk to you later. Tomorrow, the live show is going to be at noon instead of 10 a.m. So, yeah, I will see you that I have something to do. I have a person to interview tomorrow. I'll tell you later who it is. But yeah, so just to fit their schedule, I'm gonna interview them during the 10 o'clock show, and then I'm going to do the live show at noon tomorrow. So I will see you guys there. All right, peace, truth, love, bye-bye. Oh, wait. I'm holding the camera with both hands. I'm trying to blow you guys a kiss. Wait. Mwah. All right, bye.